Okay, we are live on Instagram, we're live on Facebook. Hello, hello. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Happy high carb day, Trim Boot Camp ladies. Hope you guys are all having an awesome week so far. Can't believe it's Wednesday. Popping on here a little bit early just because I wanted to get a good picture of this dish. I'm super excited about it, and I feel like sometimes when I do recipes at 5:30, by the time I get done with it, it's dark and it's hard to get a good picture and really do it justice. And that happened with the lentil pasta that I did last week. It was so good that I want to make sure that this week I get a picture and can really share the recipe with you guys. So today we're going to be making another fun pasta dish. That's kind of been my sort of focus the last couple weeks, has been pasta. I just feel like pasta is one of those things that it's something that I love so much, and I really want to show you guys that with Trim Boot Camp you can eat pretty much whatever you want, as long as it's a real food cooked from scratch for the most part. We really don't encourage any processed foods, except for like a special treat here and there. But, pasta is something you can have without guilt, that when cooked from scratch and done well, it can be good for you. So I'm going to show you guys my risotto style pasta. So this is another fun sort of twist on just your basic old pasta. We're going super classic ingredients with tomato, parsley. I'm doing these little twists. I don't know the name of the shape, but excuse me, a little cough. These little guys, and then just some Parmesan cheese. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to cook this pasta risotto style, just like we would cook risotto, where we add a little bit of liquid at a time. And for the liquid, we're using veggie stock, and then of course the juices from the tomatoes. And what you're going to end up with is a really creamy, really delicious, really satisfying pasta dish. And this would be great as a vegetarian dish on its own, or you could add chicken, fish, pork, whatever you want to pump up the protein. So before we dive in, I'll introduce myself. For those of you who are new here, I'm Kate Morning. I'm a chef and nutritionist. I'm the creator of A Healthy Passion, which is a meal planning software that I designed to make it really, really easy to know exactly what to eat to reach your goals. So I hear so many ladies say, you know what, Kate, I really want to tighten up my nutrition, but I just don't know where to begin. And for me, I spent a lot of years as a health coach really telling people, eat healthier, eat more veggies, eat less, processed foods, that kind of stuff. But in reality, people just want to be told what to eat. So A Healthy Passion does that. You literally put in your info, it spits out exactly the macros you want to hit each day to reach your goals, whether it's weight loss, maintenance, etc. And then you just eat. You just cook recipes that it recommends, you eat real food, and let me just tell you that all the recipes are simple and delicious, just like this one. So let's go ahead and dive in. So again, what you need is pasta for this one. Any shape will do. I like something a little smaller, just because it cooks a little more quickly. Like elbow macaroni will work, ditalini will be delicious. Again, parsley, cherry tomatoes or grape tomatoes, Parmesan cheese. So those are my kind of 4 ingredients. And then for pantry items, we need veggie stock cubes, Celtic salt, and red pepper flakes. So really, really easy. Oh, and olive oil. So first things first, we're going to preheat a skillet to medium heat. And I'm going to add a drizzle of olive oil, about half a tablespoon. And we're just going to do this just like you would risotto, where you go ahead and put your pasta in raw and let it sort of just absorb some of that oil. So with Trim Boot Camp, the reason why we include A Healthy Passion in Trim Boot Camp is because the number one reason that people question joining a program is because they're like, I don't know if my family's going to be on board. I don't know if I'm going to be able to stick with this because I like to eat. I like pasta. I don't want to give up burgers. I don't, all those things. And so A Healthy Passion really solves that problem of, number one, a lot of the recipes, almost 3/4 of the recipes are super family friendly, and the ones that aren't, you can always adapt. And then also it allows you to have things like pasta, things like burgers, things like, pizza, all those delicious foods, because again, we teach you how to make them a little bit healthier by just including real ingredients, lots of veggies, and cooking them from scratch. Okay, so once that happens, once it gets toasty and my stove's still warming up, we're just going to take a veggie stock cube here. Now you could use vegetable stock, but I'm a big fan of these cubes, and if y'all have cooked with me before, they're great because you don't waste anything. So a lot of times you open up a can of veggie stock or a container of veggie stock, I can't think of the word, carton of veggie stock, and you use what you need, and then you put it in the fridge and you don't use it anymore, and it goes to waste. So with these cubes, these are the Edward & Sons Not Chicken. These are awesome because you can just cut what you need. So basically 1 cube makes 4 cups of stock. So we're going to use about 1.5 to 2 cups of water here. So I'm going to use half of a cube. And what I'm going to do is, in risotto, you learn that you want to always add warm liquid. I'm a big fan of how can I cut corners, how can I simplify it, and for me, warming up my stock just dirties the pot that I have to wash. So what I prefer to do is actually add the veggie stock cubes straight in, and then add warmer room temperature water just out of a little Pyrex here, and that saves having to clean up. So the veggie stock's going to go in, and as soon as I hear a little sizzle, I'm going to go ahead and start adding water. And essentially, just like risotto, you're just going to add a little bit at a time until the pasta's al dente. And the best way to know that is to taste it. So we're just going to basically start adding water a little bit at a time, and let the pasta cook. So it's pretty simple. And again, this could be a great main dish if you just want something cozy and comfy for, you know, a meatless meal, but you could also add chicken really easily. All right, so while that's happening, I'm gonna move this stuff out of the way so y'all can see. I'm going to just take my tomatoes, and I've got just, again, 1 pint of cherry tomatoes here, and just halve them. And the juice from the tomatoes is actually gonna get absorbed into the pasta. It's gonna be so delicious. And then the tomatoes, of course, are gonna cook and get nice and tender and sort of melt into the pasta and create a really yummy sort of sauce that's not only inside the pasta, but then coats the pasta. So we're just gonna have them, and I'll just help them sort of break down a little bit more quickly. This dish should only take about 10 minutes, so it's a very, very simple, very quick meal. It's perfect for, you know, a busy weeknight where you just don't feel like really dirtying a bunch of pots and pans, or, you know, making anything complicated, because you really just have one pan, you know, a cutting board, a knife, and we're gonna use a little cheese grater to grate this cheese. My dog is outside losing it. I should have brought him in before this, but they were being so good, and now she just won't stop barking. All right. So I'm gonna just give her a little mean face. No. Never fails. I don't know if y'all have dogs, but they just can't behave when you need them to. She'd be in here barking at me, she'd be outside barking. I mean, it's like, goodness gracious, I don't understand why they can't just be good. It's like they know that you have something to do when they want all your attention. So I forgot to mention how much pasta. So with pasta, since it is a higher calorie item, I'm always very careful to follow the nutritional label and, you know, weigh it out or measure it out. So I actually use a food scale for my pasta. A portion of pasta is 2 to 3 ounces. For this particular dish, actually, I want to go ahead and use 3 ounces since I'm making it sort of a main dish. So I actually measured out 4 ounces here. So I'm going to go ahead and do 2 more ounces. And I've done this 1,000 times, so I can eyeball it. But for those of you guys who are new to portions and really paying attention to amounts of stuff, I would recommend grabbing the food scale. So we got 6 ounces here of our noodles. This is the point where we used to have a little collar on her that you could do a little beep that like makes her like, what's that? And it kind of scares her a little bit. I wish I had that. I know it's cool, but she's such a little turd. We actually, when we first bought it, it does have a shock feature, and you can set it to where it picks up on barking. And she would be that type that would literally just sit there and like bark at you because she wants something. She's back to my dog. And so when we first got her, we put this little shock collar on her that we intended to just use the beep to kind of like make her aware. And the settings came where it would pick up on barks. Well, our big dog Willa, like 10 seconds after we put the collar on, Willa ran to the window to bark at somebody, and it kept like obviously picking up Willa's barks and just shocking Nala. So ever since then, we always used the beep feature. I felt so bad for her. Okay, so that is starting to go, and I'm going to turn the heat up a little bit. I had it on 5, it's going up to about 7 now, because to be honest, it's kind of like risotto to where you can sort of speed up the process if you keep an eye on it. I'm not a big fan of like standing around waiting, so as long as you're watching it, you can turn the heat up a little bit. So you can hear it starting to sizzle, and that veggie stock starting to get absorbed into the pasta. So now what we're going to do is just add a little bit of water, just enough to sort of coat the bottom of the pan, just like risotto, and let it get cooking. So I like to go ahead and add like 1 sort of pour of water first, and let that absorb before I add my tomatoes, because I want to make sure I kind of slow the process of those tomatoes breaking down, because I don't want mush. That makes sense. So keep on medium high, and then I'm just going to kind of give it a shake. Like risotto, you want to keep a nice flat layer. Because that really allows the water to get absorbed, or the stock to get absorbed into the pasta evenly. What you don't want is some pieces to be on top of others and to cook, you know, different times. And of course my phone battery is dying. Okay. My dogs always light up my phone when I'm on a Zoom. Yes, I know. Gosh, they're so bad. And Nala's just standing, she doesn't need anything. She's got toys, she's got bones, she's got water. I mean, she's just standing there staring at the window barking because she knows I'm in here, and I think she feels like she's missing out on something. And I purposely came on here early and waited to let my chickens out, so like everyone was good, or so I thought, but here I am. Drama, and I'm pretty sure Lucy peed in a plant earlier, so it's been that kind of day. My animals are just all being little turds. Okay, so tomatoes are going to go in. And again, I'm just going to keep the heat high. If you were like cooking chicken breasts and you wanted to time it all together, you could go lower and slower and it would be just fine. But this is all we're doing. So again, you want to kind of keep that even layer. That's the biggest thing here. And just let everything cook. Okay, so while that is absorbing, I'm just going to kind of keep an eye on it. And then I'm going to grate my Parmesan cheese. So we're going to use a 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese. Now I get asked a lot what the difference is between Parmesan and Parmigiano-Reggiano, because if you guys cook with a healthy passion, you know that I use Parmigiano-Reggiano in all my recipes. And the reason being is that I can't take this dog seriously, she is flipping out. The reason being is that quality level. So Parmigiano-Reggiano is aged. It's going to have crystals of salt in it. It's going to have a lot more intense Parmesan flavor, where just your basic Parmesan is a lot cheaper, a lot less expensive, but it's not going to have as much flavor. And for me, things like cheese, if you're going to use cheese and you're going to eat cheese, there's nothing wrong with it, but buy the best you can afford, buy the best you can find. So Parmigiano-Reggiano, it's all I use in my recipes. It's the king of cheeses, as I think Mario Batali says. And it's so tasty. It's definitely worth the investment. And a little bit goes a long way here. We're only using a 1/4 cup in the entire recipe. So, I mean, this one $8 piece of cheese, it was much bigger when I bought it, will last, about a month. So, again, quality over quantity here. I'd rather use a little bit of the good stuff and really enjoy every bit. Okay, so a 1/4 cup. And I'm actually going to grab a little measuring cup just so I can measure it out. We're going to do a nice, generous 1/4 cup here, but we're not going to skip. That's why I want to make sure I have my measuring cup. But again, when you measure, it just makes you more aware. So a healthy passion is kind of that fine line. It's that balance between being aware of what you're eating and really getting, a grasp on what you're actually eating versus having to sit there and weigh and measure your food like a crazy person. And that's where I don't love counting macros. My background in nutrition, I've studied dietetics. I have a certification in holistic nutrition and health, and then I also have a certification in macros and precision nutrition. And I find that the three things together, the dietetics, of course, gave me the clinical approach. The holistic health gave me a very whole body approach to where, food's the foundation of health and all of that. But macros kind of gave you that science-based approach. And that's sort of what we base Trim around is, the combination of the three to where it's a very science-based approach because we know that science works and science gets results. But also we recognize that people are whole individuals and, again, you've got to be able to stick with something long term and there's really no point. So to sit there and get out a food scale and weigh every single thing that goes in your mouth is ridiculous to expect anyone to do that long term. But, measuring your pasta, measuring your cheese, being mindful of those types of things, totally cool. And then once this meal is done, I'm just going to eat half of it and enjoy. I'm not going to sit there with my food scale for the 3rd time that day, measuring out exactly how much of this pasta I then get to consume. Because I feel like that just takes the pleasure and enjoyment out of food, and I think that's so much about what food is pleasure and enjoyment. I see Instagram popping up. Hi Instagram. Hi Facebook. Oh my god, I'm actually going to kill this dog. I'm just praying Mike comes home. He said he was on his way home, and I'm like, just giving me anxiety. Anyone else? I'm glad y'all came here. Okay, so pasta's starting to really boil now, which is good. That's what we want, and starting to just absorb that liquid. So at this point now, I'm going to go ahead and season it. Now keep in mind, we're cooking this in veggie stock, so we don't want to season too heavily, but we want a good amount of salt just to really flavor the dish, and then of course red pepper flakes are going to be delicious. Stir that around and let it get going. What questions do you guys have? See, there's a bunch of you on Facebook. Hey, Stephanie. Hey, Catherine. What else do you guys want to learn? So my theme, I try to pick themes for every month, and my theme for this month is going to be family friendly. I'm really trying to focus on dishes that the whole family will enjoy. and quick and easy. So I don't know about y'all, but where I live right now, it's sunny outside. It's in the 60s, and as soon as Mike gets home, I'm taking a glass of wine and go sit outside on the patio and try to like enjoy every bit of this weather because it's been such a miserable winter. So for me, when weather starts to warm up, I really want to keep my dishes to 30 minutes or less and 1 or 2 pans cleanup wise. So you'll see a lot of my recipes that are going to be coming in the next few months that are new are going to be very much focused on simple because, you know, again, back to that whole sustainability aspect of healthy living, I think that if you can't make it work within your life, there's really no point. So for me, I know that I don't want to be inside cooking for an hour and a half at night and having a bunch of cleanup. So I really try to simplify my cooking so that way it reflects that and I'm able to just cook a healthy meal, enjoy it, preferably on the patio with a glass of wine, and you know, minimal cleanup. So a lot of the recipes you'll be seeing coming from us here in the next few weeks are going to be, or next few months especially, with summer coming, are going to be very, very simple. Okay, so then we've got a 1/4 cup of parsley as well, and that's going to go in at the very end. I love to add my leafy green herbs, that was probably a weird face, at the end, just because I like to add that kind of brightness. This dish is a little bit more cozy and heavy with it being, you know, the pasta and the cheese, and it's warm, so I just find adding that little bit of herbs at the end just really brightens the dish up and makes it feel a little fresher. Okay, so more stock is going to go in, just until it's absorbed. So the best way to cut your greens is kind of like create a little bundle, a little ball, a little packet, and then just kind of run your knife through, trying to make too big of a mess, and then sort of scrape it all back together, just back and forth. And I always cut up more parsley than I think I need. For some reason, it's funny, I can't eyeball it for the life of me, but again, that's something that has very few calories and isn't going to make or break you either way. Cheese, you want to measure. Parsley, I'm not dirty on a measuring cup, so I'm just going to eyeball it here. Actually, I'm pretty close, but what I like to do, and I think I've given this trick several times, especially with like honey, is have a measuring spoon right next to you and then just sort of like eyeball it and look at it so you can make sure it's similar, so you're not dirtying a spoon. So that's my tip for parsley, is just to kind of eyeball it there so that way just get close and you're not making a mess. Okay. And I am going to make an adjustment in my recipe. I would have this on high, to be honest. You really want that water boiling so it absorbs into the pasta, so medium heat doesn't do the trick. And that's what's funny is I write these recipes before I ever make them, based on just like inspiration that I get or all the recipes I see out there, and then I cook them, and then from there I adapt. So if they're good, then they go in a healthy passion right away. That's why some of them, when I do them on live, I don't always put them in the software right away because they need some tweaking. But a lot of my new recipes I do with you all because I need new recipes and I need to hop on here live, so it kind of works out for both people. Oh my gosh, Mike's coming, he's laughing because he knows I've been suffering from this animal. She's the littlest brat. I'll have to, for those of you guys who don't know Nala, I'll post a picture. She's part beagle, part lab, I think. She's a rescue, and I'm pretty sure she's pesky because she's a little beagle. She's cute though. Okay, so you're gonna let that kind of absorb a little bit, like risotto. Give it a stir. Stir it all around. Let the water absorb, and the tomatoes are now starting to burst, and the sauce is turning almost red, which is so pretty. I'm so excited for this one, you guys. And if you guys have basil, you could use that instead of parsley. This is one of those recipes that, again, learn the technique to make it your own. Whatever pasta shape you want. It's like choose your own adventure. Whatever pasta shape you want, you could change up the cheese. Pecorino Romano would be delicious in here, mozzarella, and then basil would be good, parsley. Whatever you're like. And then honestly, I think I might actually add, because we have some spinach in the fridge, I might stir some spinach in too, just to add a little extra green. I think that's a good idea. So it doesn't go to waste. It's pretty much on its last leg here. And spinach I'm going to treat the same as parsley. I'm just going to roughly chop it. And greens are one of those things now, I mean, obviously, again, with all food, you want to be mindful of what you're doing. There's no, like, eat as much as you want, don't worry about it. I'm not a big fan of that mindset, but greens are one of those things that I always just try to add to my meals however I can. And again, you'll see that a lot in Healthy Passion where there's, like, some sort of green in a lot of our meals, just because I feel like that's such an easy way to get extra nutrition in. Greens are the most nutrient-dense foods on the planet. There's just so much goodness that comes from or leafy greens. So I try to add them wherever I can. Okay, so that is a cup and a half, and it looks like we're definitely gonna need more because our pasta is very al dente here, like very al dente. So I'm gonna put another cup in here. Eyeball and measure and see where we end up. Just so I can remember, but a cup and a half so far. We're still going strong here, cooking away. And basically this is just gonna be add water, boil until the water's almost all absorbed, add more. And then at the very end, we're gonna stir in these 3 ingredients. So we're gonna turn off the heat. It's kind of like risotto again. Just finish it off with the last 3 things, and pretty darn easy, right? Y'all have any questions? I know between Instagram and Facebook, there's a few of y'all on here. What do you guys want to learn? What are some of your favorite recipes that you'd like to see simplified, made a little healthier, more real foods? Anyone have suggestions? The dogs. It smells so good. Like, so good. I don't know about y'all, but tomatoes, especially when they're in season. So we've been planting our garden, and I think I posted a picture on my main profile page not too long ago. But we're doing a huge garden, like 20 feet by 50 feet. So I've literally planned it down to the T of everything I need to plant, when I need to plant it. I think I actually have my, because I need to figure out what needs planted this week. But I've got this sheet here with like growing season, when you have to plant inside, when it goes outside, you know, all of that stuff. And I think we're growing, I want to say 30 or 36 tomato plants. So this summer there's going to be a lot of tomato recipes. I actually want to can, we do Italian Sunday every Sunday, and Mike makes sauce, and I want to can enough tomatoes for sauce for the, you know, season, the off season. So that's my reason behind growing so many. But there's nothing better than tomatoes when they're in season. I just love them so much. Oh my gosh, she's been barking for the last 20 minutes, nonstop, ever since I hopped on here.
It's pretty.
I was like, thank you. I was like praying that you would come home. What did you say? I do have a question regarding eating pasta. Does it skyrocket your carbs even on a high carb day? Tiffany, that's a good question. So I actually love to incorporate it in with everything I do. I teach pre-planning, so pasta. I like to make sure that everybody kind of plugs things in ahead of time. That way you can see how it does. Now, there are a good amount of carbs in high carb day or in pasta, but if you look at your high carb day numbers, you're going to need actually a lot of carbs. Like 150 grams of carbs is my high carb day. So that's a lot of carbs, and it takes a lot of carbs to get there. So for me, pasta is one of those things that if you plug it in, you can totally make it work. I joined late. Is this regular pasta? Yep. I just use an organic. I like the, starts with a D brand. It's an Italian brand of pasta. For me, it's just the highest quality, the best tasting I've found. But yeah, I'm just using plain old pasta. I like to do lentil pasta a lot, but for this particular dish, you need just regular old pasta. Because the lentil pasta, I don't know, I just don't know that it would work as well. But yeah, you can absolutely have pasta, and it doesn't throw off your carbs if you pre-plan. Now you can't probably make, you know, a couple slices of bread, pasta, fruit, a sandwich, you know, rice, all those things, sweet potatoes, all in one day work. But yeah, absolutely. I think you'll be surprised by, especially if you follow the numbers that we give you with Trim or a Healthy Passion, you'll be surprised by how many carbs that we actually need on a regular macro day. This would not be a good rest day food just because it is so high in carbs, and on rest day I try to really focus on more, I guess, whole food carbohydrates like fruit. Hey Mom! I'm cooking I know a lot of you guys have just hopped on, so I'm making a risotto style pasta. So I'm taking a little, Mike, what is the shape of these noodles? What would you call these little guys?
W's?
No, they're little spirals, but they have a
squiggly
fancy name. I'm using this shape of pasta. You could use macaroni or ditalini or something else, but this is the shape that I'm using, and we're basically cooking it by just adding a little bit of veggie stock at a time, and then finishing off with cheese, a little bit of spinach, and some fresh parsley.
Tasty.
I tried the lentil pasta, I just couldn't get past the texture. Yeah, a lot of people don't love it, and for me, it's one of those things where no matter how good it is for you, if you don't like it, unless it's a green vegetable, you shouldn't eat it. Now greens, on the other hand, I think everyone needs to learn how to fit in some way or another. This is what she's been doing ever since I hopped on here.
I'm not a fan of the lentil pasta either.
Yeah, I don't make Mike eat it. But again, you know, all real food in moderation. And to me, pasta, nothing wrong with it if you get a good workout in, lift some heavy weights, and enjoy. And that's what I did today. I did our trim boot camp full body day, and my tushy is already sore. So I'm going to definitely enjoy this pasta tonight. Mom, what are you having for dinner? And this smells so good. I know I've said it 1,000 times, but man, tomatoes and veggie stock and pasta, something about it. So the other thing that's going to happen here, and it's again similar to risotto, is the starch in the pasta is going to thicken the sauce. So by cooking the pasta in the same sauce that we're going to be eating, you're going to have this like kind of starchy, thick, creamy, delicious, creamy pasta, and it's not going to have a lot of like cheese, dairy, fat, all that in it. There's really not a lot of fat at all. Parmesan and Reggiano is very low in fat. Half tablespoon of olive oil, so all in all, it's a great regular macro day. Meatloaf! Oh, remember when we made meatloaf together? Hi, Instagram. It's harder for me to see. You guys are a little further away. All right, so we're getting close here. So we just want to kind of make sure, again, everything's absorbing that liquid. Nice and delicious. So this should take about 20, let's say about 20 minutes from start to finish or so. Let's see where we're at. We're definitely going to need some more liquid, but my phone's at 10%. We're getting close. All right, so a little bit more. So we're looking at 2.5 cups of water. I gave it a taste. Definitely want a little more salt, because keep in mind, pasta has no flavor at all, essentially. So you really want to make sure you season your pasta water well. We're using that veggie stock, but we also got to season those tomatoes. All right, so this looks good. This should probably do it. Now this is going to be a little firmer than I think a lot of you guys are used to. I think that most of us overcook our pasta. Essentially, you really want it to be al dente, which means to the tooth, which means when you bite into it, there's a little bit of resistance. It's not just like mushes in your mouth. Comfort food tonight. My husband thought lentil was okay. Okay, I'm Italian. I just want pasta, so I'm eating pasta. Yeah. Mike's the same way. He's Italian, and I mean, it's tough to get him to eat something besides red sauce. So the idea of lentil pasta, I think, would be a big no. And he's very good about eating, and that's, you know, the big thing with when you are making healthier changes and trying to really incorporate healthier foods into your life. You know, taking into account what your significant other or, you know, person you're cooking for wants, and not forcing them to do everything. Obviously, I force some things on him, like Brussels sprouts. He hated when we first started dating. Now I love them. But things like lentil pasta, you know, again, it's not going to make or break him. Hi, Sally from New York. Those stinking Italians, I know.
Come again?
Italians don't like lentil pasta. I think Lucy peed in a plant today. Yeah, why don't you handle your pets? They've not been very good today. All right, we are getting close.
This guy needs sun. Anyway.
Don't worry about the one in the office that's going to die of cat urine. All right. That was nice and al dente. I still think I want more red peppers. And that's a cool thing. When you taste as you go, you can always add more. I'm a big fan of tasting as you go, because a lot of times when you're done, if you haven't tasted it and seasoned it, and you get to the table, then there's not always a lot you can do. So in this case, the seasoning is actually cooking into the dish. So by adding seasoning now, you're going to get a lot more out of it than when you add it away. All right, so we are going to add our spinach in, our cheese, our parsley. Turn off that heat, and then sort of just give it a stir and incorporate. You can see there's not any liquid left, so I'm going to add 1 more quarter cup and just let it sort of finish absorbing in there. So what do we do? 1.5 cups plus another cup plus about 1/4 cup. So 2 3/4 cups of liquid goes in, and you just want to make sure you get all that goodness off the bottom. I think that's the part that we want to make sure is we don't let anything stick onto the bottom of the pan, because that's where a lot of the flavor is going to be. And then we're just going to let it finish absorbing until the last little bit of water, a little bit of stock is in our pasta. One more taste. Wow, yum. That cheese. I wish you guys could see this. I wish you could smell it, more importantly. But can you see? It's nice and creamy. It's delicious. It smells so good. That parsley, that Parmesan cheese, the tomatoes, beautiful. And for me, this is like the ultimate comfort pasta. So I'm gonna go take a little glass of wine and enjoy a drink outside with Mike, and then we're gonna have this for dinner. And I think I'm gonna throw some chicken in the oven for him, and I don't know. I'm gonna look at where I am for the day. I just had a protein shake, so I think I'm actually good. So I might just enjoy a little vegetarian meal tonight. But I hope this was helpful for you guys. Give you guys some new ideas, some new inspiration. If you guys aren't cooking with a healthy passion, definitely go check it out. If you're in Term Boot Camp, this one will be in the software this week, hopefully. I think I'm gonna get shot before the sun goes away, and it's gonna be in and perfect. So definitely add it to your meal plans for next week. And if you guys have any questions at all, let me know. I'll be on tomorrow at noon. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'll have to look and see. But come join me, come hang out, and have a great night, guys. Bye. Bye, Instagram.